In the following podcast, I will be discussing what a non-Newtonian fluid is, its structures, its various behaviours and some of its uses. Sir Isaac Newton thought that viscosity only changed with a change in pressure or temperature, but in reality not all fluids actually behave this way. Non-Newtonian fluids are substances that don't actually follow his concept. Their viscosity is also dependent on the force that is applied to it, and sometimes time can actually be an influence. There are a fair few examples of fluids that you can find around the house that are non-Newtonian. For example, ketchup, custard and toothpaste are all non-Newtonian fluids. They're surprisingly common. You can also make a fluid known as oobleck, which is simply a mixture of cornstarch and water. The particles in cornstarch are a mix of crystalline and non-crystalline arrangements. When you add water to this, the water is mainly absorbed by the non-crystalline structures. When you quickly stir it, both temperature and pressure are increased, which leads to the formation of more non-crystalline structures. These then absorb more water, making the mixture behave more like a solid. Removing the pressure causes these non-crystalline structures to decrease, releasing water, and then it just goes back to liquid form. There are various different ways in which non-Newtonian fluids can behave. If the viscosity decreases with stress over time, such as honey, it is thixotropic. If viscosity increases with stress over time, for example cream, it is known as rheopectic. If viscosity increases with increased stress, this is shear thickening. This is what oobleck is. And then when viscosity decreases with increased stress, like tomato sauce, it is referred to as a shear thinning. Non-Newtonian fluids are surprisingly useful. Aside from their everyday uses around the house, they can actually be used to develop liquid body armour. Using a non-Newtonian substance in an armour allows ease of movement when it's in a liquid state, but if the armour were to be hit, this would cause the fluid to become solid, which protects the body. What's wonderful about these fluids is the things you can do with them. When you leave oobleck to naturally flow by itself, it behaves as a liquid, but if you then apply pressure to it by picking it up, it actually behaves as a solid. I actually have a bowl of it here, and when you see it, it looks just like a liquid, and you can pick it up and it behaves like a liquid. But then when you try to stir it, the harder you try, the more resistant it becomes. And you can actually, if you want, pick it up and it just turns to a solid in your hand. And then as soon as you stop applying pressure to it, it returns to a liquid. You can actually put a bowl of this on the floor and walk across it without sinking if you move quickly enough. And if you have a loudspeaker at home, putting oobleck on a speaker when it is turned on will cause it to vibrate, and the oobleck sort of dances. Non-Newtonian fluids are a really fascinating addition to your standard states, and not only are they useful, but they can be great fun too.